On September 23rd, 1889, a man by the name of Fusajiro Yamauchi founded a company called Yamauchi Nintendo. They started off by making playing cards, but later on, Yamauchi Nintendo went on to make toys like the Ultra Hand, Time Bomb, and of course, the Love Tester, because Super Mario is the first person all of us would go to if we need any relationship advice. However, in 1983, the company, now known simply as Nintendo, released the Famicom in Japan, right in the midst of a big video game crash. Yeah, can you imagine that there was a point in time where people were sick and tired of playing Pong? This is some good stuff. Actually, I am getting pretty bored. Can we put up one of those Family Guy funny moments compilations in the bottom of the screen? Anyways, 2 years after its release in Japan, the Famicom, now renamed to the very creative Nintendo Entertainment System, released in the US, alongside a little game called Super Mario Bros. This game was so good and so popular that it pretty much ended the video game crash. People's standards weren't very high back then. The NES proved to be a massive success for Nintendo, so they kept making more games and more consoles until eventually they became the highly respected company we all know today. They became the highly profitable company we all know today. There are a lot of things you can criticize Nintendo for, especially recently, but one thing you can't deny is that their games are usually really good. Big emphasis on the usually. Still though, even with the sad existence of Welcome Tour, I consider a majority of the things Nintendo makes to be great. Mario, Zelda, Animal Crossing, Kirby, and of course, the topic of this video, Splatoon. The Splatoon franchise is my favorite thing Nintendo has ever made. I mean, these games have everything I could ever want. Bright colors, engaging gameplay, a good story, characters named Sheldon. The last one is especially important. I remember bringing my Switch to summer camp so I could play Splatoon 2 the year it came out. And don't even get me started on my obsession with the third game. It was like all I played for a while. I did kind of take a break from playing Splatoon 3 after the Grand Festival, but I recently got back into it after the announcement of Raiders. I really got back into it. I've been playing this game way too much recently and it's ruining my productivity. So since my Splatoon obsession has come back, I thought that now would be a great time to make a video about it, because in case you haven't realized, this channel is just an excuse for me to talk about the stupid things I like. Except for my Wish video, that one was done purely out of hatred. Even though it's pretty much all I've been playing, I don't want to talk about Splatoon 3, at least not yet. Instead, I want to go back in time and take a look at the very first game of this franchise, which released over 10 years ago on the Wii U. I am so glad I'm one of the 2 Wii U owners out there. I'm honestly kind of surprised this first game succeeded the way it did, because the Wii U is quite possibly Nintendo's most infamous flop of all time, and the game was also being marketed like this.
You're a kid now, you're a squid now, you're a kid, you're a squid, you're a kid, you're a squid, you're a...
I did not expect a song like this to come from a franchise that so heavily revolves around the music. This sounds like an extra tuna song. Okay, this intro has gone on for way longer than I wanted it to, and I can't think of an actually good way to transition into talking about Splatoon, so I'm just gonna abruptly cut to the first thing I want to talk about, and hope that everybody's okay with that.
I'm not nice. No, I'm not nice. I'll shoot you in the face till I make you die.
Splatoon is, at its core, an online PvP game where the story mode acting more as a bonus, a side order if you will. I won't. So with that being the case, I thought I'd take a look at the online first and ask one simple question. Is Splatoon's online good? No, seriously, is it? I can't actually play it. You see, in April of 2024, Nintendo shut down online services for both the Wii U and the 3DS. This is bad because to play Splatoon's online, you need to be, well, online. The battle modes require an internet connection. You can't play them anymore. The shops require an internet connection. You can't use them anymore. The battle dojo requires friends. Because of the fact that everything aside from the story mode is pretty much inaccessible to me, I'll just save talking about all that stuff for the eventual Splatoon 2 video, because there's really not a lot of differences between games. One thing I would like to talk about that's somewhat related to the online, but also not really, are the game's amiibos. For those who aren't aware, amiibo was Nintendo's answer to the Toys to Life trend from a while back, where games would have you scan in toys and they would come to life. It was a pretty innovative way to make a whole lot of money off of merchandise. Games under this genre include things like Skylanders, LEGO Dimensions, and Disney Infinity. All of these franchises are dead. If you have an amiibo figure, you can scan it into compatible games to get some rewards, but that's really all they do, because unlike other Toys to Life brands, Nintendo never made a game about amiibo. Splatoon is really the only franchise Nintendo consistently makes amiibo of nowadays, so I thought it would be fitting to talk about them in this video. That's why I spent $25 on Callie and Marie amiibo. You know, I should probably do something to justify this purchase. Okay, so there has been a slight change of plans. Originally, I was going to make a hilarious parody of certain toy review channels where I would do an over-the-top unboxing, play with the amiibo, and make multiple references to Fazgoo. I had the whole thing scripted out and everything, but I'll save all of that for the Splatoon 2 video because something happened that I need to talk about. Earlier, I said that I bought the Calamari amiibo, but those of you with functioning eyesight might have noticed that Marie is missing. This is because I was scammed. Okay, maybe scammed is a strong word. Pretty much, I ordered the amiibo through everybody's favorite store, GameStop. As I was ordering, I realized that only Callie was mentioned in the title, which was a bit weird to me since the description of the product mentioned Marie, and she was also shown in the pictures. I just assumed that maybe they forgot to put her in the title. Well, guess what? I'm never assuming again. I ordered the Callie Marie amiibo specifically because I thought I'd be getting 2 amiibo for the price of 1. That's a deal. But instead, I got 1 for the price of 1. That's not a deal. That's just how things normally work. If I had known that, I'd just have gotten the squid amiibo. I like the squids. Okay, to be serious for a second, since I guess that's the thing I do in videos now, I don't care about this that much. At the end of the day, it's just a Splatoon amiibo. I am not going to die because I don't have it. But that being said, I do not think it is very good for a company to misinform people about the product they are selling. If you're only selling the Callie amiibo, don't put Marie there as well. There is a pretty high chance that this was just an honest mistake made by a GameStop employee. I doubt that Mr. GameStop himself was scheming ways to trick people into buying Splatoon amiibo, but if it was just a mistake, a company as big as GameStop should have been able to catch it before it went out to the public. Anyways, to quickly talk about the Callie amiibo, which is what I wanted to do in the first place, I think it's good. There's really not a lot to complain about here. This is in fact Callie from Splatoon, but in the real life. Okay, that's enough for the amiibo review. I can't wait to spend $35 on Pearl and Marine amiibo for the Splatoon 2 video. I guess I should also talk about the in-game amiibo functionality because, like, that's what they were made for. The other Splatoon 1 amiibo give you gear, as well as special stages to play through, but the Callie Marie amiibo only give you gear, which is weird. These two are infinitely more important characters than Inkling Boy. Why do their amiibo give you less rewards than this guy? I guess the Callie Marie amiibo do give you access to some of the Splatoon OST, which is cool and all, but like, I can listen to the Splatoon OST on my phone with YouTube, which is free. Before moving on to the story mode, I want to say that I really like the hub world of Inkopolis, and the player Inklings walking around the place are really cool. They make the city feel a lot more alive. I even ran into this Inkling called David. Get out of my head! Splatoon story mode starts off with a creepy old man luring you into a sewer and giving you a job. I don't know about you, but that's one of my worst nightmares. I'm talking about the job thing, not getting lured into a sewer. I'm fine with that. This old man is Captain Cuttlefish, the leader of the Squidbeak Splatoon. Captain Cuttlefish decides to make this child a part of the Squidbeak Splatoon since they did the very difficult task of entering a sewer, and now they are known as Agent 3. From here, Cuttlefish tells Agent 3 to go find and retrieve the gray sapfish that powers Inkopolis since it was stolen by the evil Octarians. And that's pretty much it in terms of story. Okay, there is an important story development later in the game, but for the most part, not much really happens. Splatoon's story structure kind of reminds me of an early FNAF game, in that there's not a lot going on during the game itself, but there's plenty of hidden secrets talking about some pretty evil and messed up stuff. I'll talk more about the story and the lore told through the hidden mysterious scrolls in a bit, but for now, I want to focus on the gameplay. Splatoon is a third-person shooter where instead of shooting bullets, you shoot ink. I think this is both a really creative twist on a shooter genre, and also just a fun gameplay mechanic. These games wouldn't be nearly as fun if you just shot regular bullets. Not only is ink very colorful, which I like, but also, part of the enjoyment I get from playing Splatoon games comes from covering things in ink. It's a really satisfying thing to do, I don't know why. I think that another thing that makes the ink so great is that you actually have the ability to turn into a squid, and going into the ink makes you invisible to enemies, go faster, and allows you to climb walls. So yeah, I really like the ink. I think it's a great gameplay mechanic. Most of the levels in the story mode consist of you having to get from point A to point B while killing enemies in order to retrieve a mini sapfish. There are some levels that change the gameplay up a bit though, like the ones where you need to kill the Octolings that have a similar moveset to yours, or the ones where some freak is trying to bomb you from above, and you have to get up to his UFO to kill him. These two types of levels take place on maps from the battle modes, which is cool, but something I noticed is that the same map is repeated twice, which is just kind of weird to me. The game has a lot of different battle maps. What was the point of using the same one twice in the story mode? My biggest complaint with this mode is that a majority of the regular levels feel so similar to one another. There's rarely a change in scenery, enemy variety, or gameplay features. I think that's why one of my favorite levels in the game is one with the invisible platforms, since it both takes place in a different environment and introduces a cool gameplay feature. A cool gameplay feature that isn't really used again until the final boss, but whatever. I know I've been kind of complaining quite a bit, so I do want to say that I did really enjoy the story mode. Sure, it's kind of repetitive, but the thing it's repeating is fun, so who cares? Also, the story mode only takes like 3 hours to beat, so nothing really feels like it overstays its welcome. The last thing I want to talk about in terms of gameplay are the bosses. I like them. That's really all I have to say. They're pretty easy but still fun to fight. Octoma is the best one apart from the final boss. I almost forgot to mention this, but I really wish you had the option to reset your story mode progress specifically once you beat it, because in order to play through it again, I had to wipe all the progress I made on this game from when I first bought it. That was very cool and awesome, and I enjoyed doing that. Okay, so in every level of the game, you can find hidden sunken scrolls. These scrolls reveal all the Splatoon lore, which I will now talk about. The Splatoon timeline starts over 10,000 years ago, when a giant flood wiped out the human race. Presumably, this happened around the time the Wii U came out. I do not believe this is a coincidence. After this happened, the squids and octopi of the world evolved into more human-like creatures known as Inklings and Octolings. The two groups started off as friends, but thanks to rising sea levels, they began fighting over land in a war that ended with the Octarians being driven underground. This also happened in the hit 2015 indie game, Undertale. Flash forward to the actual game, and the Octarians have stolen the Great Sapfish as revenge for losing the war. That's not the only thing they steal though, because a little over halfway into the game, they kidnap Cuttlefish. Once this happens, Agents 1 and 2 show up. Who are Agents 1 and 2, you ask? Well, I don't know. They hide their identities a little too well. During the final boss, it's revealed that Agents 1 and 2 were Calamari all along, and I'm not sure if this was meant to be a big twist or not, because like, yeah, obviously, they don't even try to hide who they really are. Not only are their disguises the kind of thing that Invader Zim would wear, but also, there's one point where Callie straight up calls Marie by her name. Sure, she stops herself right before saying the E in Marie's name, but like, it doesn't take a young Sheldon to figure out who she's talking about. Even with the letter missing, her name is still pronounced Marie. This isn't foreshadowing, this is pointing at a twist with one of those red YouTube thumbnail arrows. All that being said, I still think Callie and Marie are much more interesting characters than Cuttlefish was. Don't get me wrong, he still got some of that old man charm, but I still prefer Callie Marie, especially Callie. 2 or 3 of her lines are pretty much just Marvel one-liners, and that's really funny to me. Also, I just realized that I never explained who Callie Marie, were, so I'm gonna do that real quick. Pretty much, they're news people, but also singers called the Squid Sisters, even though they're cousins. So I don't know why they're called that. I guess they just like alliteration or something. I don't know. If you combine their names, it sounds like calamari, which is what you call squid that you eat. So I guess their parents are probably just really messed up people. Anyways, in order to retrieve the Great Sapfish and save Captain Cuttlefish, Agent 3 will need to fight the game's final boss, DJ Octavio. This fight is great. It features a lot of gimmicks introduced throughout the game, has good music, and doesn't end in like 2 minutes. Also, DJ Octavio is a really fun villain. I do remember this fight being a lot harder, but that's probably because when I played it, I was a little child, which I no longer am. Not only that, but I have over 200 hours on Splatoon 3, so I kinda know what I'm doing at this point. Yeah, don't even try to fight me in Splatoon 3, because let's just say, the result will be unfavorable. For me. I said I kind of know what I'm doing, I'm still not very good at this game. After a while, Callie Marie hijacked Octavio's music and began playing their song, Calamari Inkantation, which is the Splatoon equivalent of the United States national anthem. And for good reason, the song is great. I think it would have been cool if Callie Marie actually showed up here, since you don't even see them throughout the entire story mode, but they don't, and that kinda sucks. Instead, they just watch everything happen through a computer screen or something, kind of like Ice Cube in that War of the Worlds movie nobody likes.
I see no other option to initiate this War of the Worlds to save us all.
Did you guys know that this guy is played by the same person who voices Edwin in The Secret of the Mimic? I have no reason for mentioning that, other than the fact that I want to talk about Secret of the Mimic some more. Making an hour-long video about it just wasn't enough for me, I guess. As Calamari Inkantation plays in the background, Agent 3 defeats DJ Octavio, saving Captain Cuttlefish and the Great Sapfish, and ending Splatoon's story. I'd say that Splatoon story mode is pretty basic and the least good of the franchise, but it's still really fun. I enjoyed my time playing it and appreciate the fact that it was included in the first place, since Nintendo probably could have just sold the game with only the online stuff. Of course, thanks to the Wii U not having online anymore, doing that would have made the game completely unplayable now, since the battle modes require an internet connection, the shops require internet connection, and the battle dojo... I swear I have friends. In conclusion, I like Splatoon. You probably figured that out if you've been paying any attention to this video at all. I really don't know what else to say for this conclusion, so I'm going to end this video by making a very good suggestion to Universal Studios, because I don't talk about theme parks enough on this channel, considering the fact that I'm obsessed with them. I think there should be a Splatoon area in Epic Universe's Super Nintendo World. It's the perfect franchise for a shooter ride like Toy Story Mania, or the critically acclaimed Illumination's VillainCon Minion Blast. That's a terrible name, by the way, just call it Minion Blast or something, it's not that hard. Now, if you excuse me, I've got to go play Hollow Knight Silksong. It's finally real. I can take it out of my list of things that'll never happen. I love this game. Silksong actually hasn't come out at the time of me writing this, meaning that I'm not sure if the game is actually good or not, so I'll just put a subtle little sound effect here if it is. Bye, I guess.